Dear listeners, hello. I'm very happy to be part of this Interpenetration Special at the virtual Setzkasten. Many thanks for the invitation, Maru of Interpenetration and Stefan Vogelsinger of the Setzkasten, and also the Echoräume. So what's my work about in general, and what are those two videos about that I'm gonna show? I love to experiment with different textures and sounds in my voice in music, and I love to have a theme, and in this case, no big surprise, it's a lockdown. Performances here are still not possible, and the whole year has kind of been shook up completely, and I'm in very frequent contact with friends around the globe. They live in Canada, in New York, in Tel Aviv, in Vienna, in Cologne, in northern Italy and other parts. So talking to them and seeing their fears, their problems, their uncertainties, their reliefs in some parts was really interesting, and I saw many parallels and kind of like time-shifting parallels. So I asked them if it was okay to use our email conversations as lyrics for those videos or musical pieces. The first one is called Are You Ping or Are You Pong? So please ask yourself that too. It's an experiment, or it evolved out of an experiment to test out different clip-on microphones for my mobile phone. And it ended up being a sound and picture representing both for me a small closed area of the world, and at the same time kind of a view into infinity, if you like. The second one is called $1,000 a day. It's a result of a story a friend of mine from New York told me, and I love the interchanging views of the video, the rooms that are opened and closed, the rapid change of pictures. And I packed as much text into this as I could, which kind of is the feeling for me that I had in the beginning of lockdown. So many uncertainties and so many things that were new and unsure, which they're also still today. So I hope you have fun or interesting experiences watching those videos, and I'm happy if you want to drop me a line afterwards and say hello or give me feedback, or drop me a line through the email address of my homepage. So thanks for sticking around, and I hope to see you at some of my live shows or have some virtual contact. Hey, take care and stay safe. I've been wanting to write. Things have been chaotic here. Yes, all the same measurements, home, confinement, etc. have been in place. I'm one of the lucky ones in the sense that I get to keep my jobs. All three of them are moving online. Deborah lost all of hers, and so, like for the many restaurant workers and all the people in the arts, existential worry mixes with worries about physical health. I've spent endless hours in front of the computer these past days, trying to move the architect's job online. This has been and continues to be Herculean, and it leaves me drained at the end of the day. So far it's been possible to go for walks, which we've done. I'm attaching a few pictures. The grocery stores are madness, all the isolating stops in the shopping aisles. People have been buying as if they will never leave their house again. And I believe that while they take all the cleaner and passed on supplies, also leave the virus on empty shelf. Next week all of my school jobs will pick up again. So it will be necessary to deal with freaked out students and the pleasures and detriments of online teachings. Emotional schwanken wir zwischen Euphorie, Endlich Zeit, endlich kein Druck, endlich mal Ruhe. Zeit zum Nachdenken, zum Reflektieren, zum Zusammensein für uneingeschränkte Familienzeit. Und auf der anderen Seite Angst und emotionale Atemnot. Wie lange wird der Zustand dauern? Was kommt danach? Wann können wir wieder arbeiten? Wird unser Gesundheitssystem zusammenbrechen? Die Welt hält die Luft an. The weather here is beautiful and we live a 10-minute walk from the sea, but cannot go there. I'm enjoying the quiet Tel Aviv. As you know, it is so chaotic here usually. Now it feels like Vienna. I'm teaching 4 classes remotely and getting stressed about it. I feel I'm spending way too much time and effort trying to figure out the best ways to teach them. I feel the economic fear of what will be in the future is starting to get me stressed as well. We do not know when Danny will work again. He's a freelance tour guide for incoming tourism, which may not exist for a very long time. I may have to give up my studio if it goes on too long. I found it very hard to focus. Weird. All day with nothing to do and hardly getting anything done. It's a little hard to be grounded, not sure if it's a lack of social life, routine, ability to carry on with life, or just all that is going on. My mama is equally cavalier about the situation. She keeps talking about going to the cemetery to visit my dad's grave. She was out and about until the very last second. I too find myself yelling at her via FaceTime. Thankfully, my cousins have been wonderful. They shop for her and take care of her. Very nice of Martin to look after your parents. We really need each other, especially when we can't see each other. Tonight we have Passover. It's the strangest holiday ever. We're in complete lockdown till tomorrow, since they're worried families will try to reunite for the holiday. Rightly so. Hope it will make a big difference so we are out of this mess by the end of the month. This is unbelievable. It's like a sci-fi movie, an interesting one with a sociological twist. What happens to society when it has to self-quarantine to survive? It's surreal to see society shutting down this way. I think sometimes of the Chinese ophthalmologist who was sanctioned by Chinese authorities for warning his friends that the virus was showing up, and later ended up dying from it. Heartbreaking. I hope all this forces China to loosen its iron grip on its people. New York is finally closing its schools. All New York nightclubs closed. All restaurants and bars takeout only. Not just the health impact or even the social impact, but also the economic impact. Bills still coming in, but people can't make money. I can feel the fear build up in my body sometimes, and I have to remind myself that I'm not all that concerned. I think I'm picking up the panic in the ether. We in the US are reaching the worst period now, at least in New York. Reading the news is like being in a war zone. I just hope we've gotten enough ventilators, masks and other medical supplies, which our governor is shouting daily for, to give people the care we are capable of. Trump has not utilized the Defense Production Act in which he could compel businesses to make medical supplies. Governors are fighting to outbid each other. Trump and his business friends want to reopen the country by Easter, April 12th. Not happening. 3.3 million applied for unemployment this week, and that of course does not include the self-employed. I saw an interview with a man who owned a now closed restaurant. He had to let all his workers go, and his rent for the space is $1,000 a day. He looked like he was about to cry. Every question, he had to take a deep breath before he could answer. I saw that some chain restaurant, Cheesecake Factory, had stopped paying rent on all the properties across the US. I guess this is why we need a $2 trillion financial aid bill. So many levels in the system need to be shored up. Sick people wait all day on lines to get tested, only to go home at the end of each day without getting to the head of the line. Read a story about a man with fever and cough who waited all day online in the rain this week, and it poured all day, only to go home without being tested. Came back the next day and the same thing, went home without getting tested. Some patients have been found dead in their rooms while doctors were busy helping others. Patients came in faster than the hospitals could add beds. Earlier this week, 60 coronavirus patients had been admitted but were still in the emergency room. One man waited almost 60 hours for a bed last week, the doctor said. The government projects 100 to 240,000 deaths in the US if everyone maintains social distancing. I know the worst is still coming, but while I'm bracing myself for this week, I'm starting to look past it to the light at the end of the tunnel. We will be through this soon, and then I hope it stays gone. Read a very disturbing story about people in some countries attacking nurses and doctors, evicting them from apartments out of fear they may be carrying the virus. Can you believe it? How are they missing the fact that without them they are toast? Trump continues to think and speak mainly of himself. Shockingly, he retweeted a post last week which claimed it was time to fire Dr. Fauci because he had agreed with a reporter that if mitigation efforts had started sooner, that more lives could have been saved. Dr. Fauci is our infectious disease expert who is eminently qualified, has worked for 6 presidents, who has been the face of the national response and source of information for this, who the public trusts far more than Trump in polls. We're getting cabin fever here. You can't keep people inside when the nice weather comes. I hope we don't have to. A lot of life takes place on Zoom now. Trump is sidelining the medical experts and starts to spin the story of the pandemic and his flawless response to it. He figures that by November, he and those around him will have told the false version enough times that people will have forgotten and will believe the fiction. This is an amazing study in psychology. I've seen this happen before with him. He tells the false story enough times with enough self-assurance and conviction, never showing weakness or doubt for any moment, and he succeeds in pulling the wool over people's eyes. They allow themselves to be led. You know, I just saw this incredible snake, and while I was recording this video, I heard this strange sound, and I looked, and there was this, like, I think close to 2 meter long snake. So have a look. Ciao.